Did the tumor triggered midlife crisis for me? For everyone, it's different, but there's usually some significant life situation, life event in one's life that starts midlife crisis experience. Hey there, my name is Regina. Welcome to this video. Welcome to my channel. The channel where we talk about different aspects of spirituality, personal and spiritual development and growth, and everything that comes with it. And today, let's talk a little bit more about midlife crisis. I think midlife crisis gets a really bad name, bad reputation, mainly, hugely because of movies, Hollywood movies. Because usually when there is some midlife crisis situation in movies, it's represented as someone in middle age just completely changing their life and usually just doing something like buying a new crazy fancy or expensive car, or switching from driving a car to buying a motorcycle, or quitting a job, starting to do just something completely different, completely out of their character. And that is usually seen as someone going through crisis. And since it happens in midlife crisis, but in reality, the midlife crisis, I would say, is happening around midlife, which is usually plus minus 40s. And it usually happens when in someone's life, things the way they have worked aren't working anymore. And the person is just not happy, and they start to question everything, start to question their life and life choices and where they're at and where they're going. And then it's a process. It's not something that happens kind of overnight. It's a process, and I would like to call midlife crisis a midlife transformation. I think one of the reasons why it may be called crisis is because if we are changing our lifestyle, if we're changing our life in late teens and early 20s, that seems to be pretty normal and acceptable by majority of society, because we humans, we're still young and we're just trying to figure out life, and very often there are not many ties, many commitments in early 20s or 20s in general. But if somebody decides to change their life, when they decide that the life they've lived doesn't feel right anymore, doesn't feel good anymore, doesn't make them happy around midlife, it can be more challenging because there is most likely more in play. The person has probably worked at the same job or in the same company or something like that for a while, and changing jobs after working there for decades can be more challenging. There can be other people involved, or most likely are a family, and therefore one person from the family changing their lifestyle and life completely affects other people in the family as well. The person may have and usually has different commitments and different routines, and other people relying on them. There can be also such a thing as some property, house that's bought together with the partner, and mortgage to be paid, and things like that. And from that place to change life completely, it requires more effort, and more is affected, and more needs to be taken in account when changing life, when rebranding one's life, reinventing one's life. And I think that's where maybe the midlife crisis, or like midlife transformation as I would like to call it, gets the name midlife crisis, because it can be a crisis situation. The more is involved, the more needs to be taken in account, the more people are involved or relying on us to make life changes and reinvent our lives, can be more stressful, the more stressful they are. And yeah, I think that's where the term crisis comes in play. Usually when someone is experiencing midlife crisis, it starts, as I mentioned in intro, with some significant life event that triggers this feeling of midlife crisis, this feeling of a need to do something different in life, triggers this feeling of, wait, I'm not really happy. I would like to do something different in my life. For me, it was TED the tumor a few years ago. Never thought it would happen, meaning never thought I would have TED the tumor, and I also never thought I would experience midlife crisis. For me, it started with questioning, why in the world am I having this TED the tumor experience? I am eating pretty healthy, have had my whole life. I've been always working on my personal and spiritual growth. I also have been physically active throughout my whole life, which are three areas of life that are pretty important to work on if we want to keep up good health. I've done all of them, but that the tumor still happened. It was big. The situation was big. The tumor was big. I always believe that if we experience something significant, it could be our health. It could be some tragic event happening. It could be some changes in significant and important relationships. For example, when something like that happens, I always like to see and think, what lesson is this situation trying to show me, trying to teach me, trying to bring my attention to? And why did it happen? Like, what do I need to change in my life, in my actions, in order to have a different outcome, in order to do better for myself, in order to be the best version of myself that I can be? I do believe that everything happens for a reason, and I do believe that every situation can show us either the path to go, the direction to go, give some insight into where we need to do some inner work, things like that. And so for me, it started with questioning, why did this tumor situation happen? And then I realized pretty quickly that even though a lot of people who know me, who knew me for some time, knew me closer, would have said that they felt and thought that I was living pretty true to myself, I pretty quickly knew I wasn't. There were parts of my life I was ashamed of. I didn't really want anyone to know I was in that kind of space, situation, and I couldn't really say that I was proud of my life. I was proud of who I am and what I'm doing with my life. I could say that there were some things that I had done so far at a time in my life that I was proud of and I felt good about. But overall, in general, speaking about my life, I couldn't say that I was proud of my life and that I was doing my best in my life. My best according to my standards. I knew I could do better, and that's not being critical of myself, but I really knew that there were aspects of my life that I had kind of tried to overlook, and part of my life I was going direction I wanted to go, but part of my life I really wasn't. It was still serving some purpose that was for my benefit, and the tumor situation kind of triggered me thinking that I really need to address these parts of my life. Very shortly after the tumor situation was resolved, I had to move because the property I lived on was going for sale. I didn't own the property, and that was another step towards that direction of me thinking, okay, I really need to change something in my life. This move and the fact that I had to move and I didn't really have a choice in the matter was the next step in triggering the midlife crisis, because I thought, if I don't own the place where I live, then eventually there is a potential for that always be a case, that I depend, or just my living situation depends on someone else, not just me, and I'm not really fully in control. And there was a lot happening. That was very intense. Here are some lessons that I would like to share that from my own experience I have learned about experiencing midlife crisis. Number one, midlife crisis is an inside work. It's not about going out and trying to change something on the outside as the first step. It's about working on ourselves from within, questioning what are we doing and where are we at and who are we and where do we want to go and what are our goals and ideal situations and experiences we would like to have, and then how to go about it, question it, think about it, analyze. Because no matter how much we're gonna try to fill ourselves with something from the outside, buying new things, changing something on the outside, if we don't change from the inside, we're not gonna feel fulfilled, we are not gonna feel complete, it's not gonna feel right, not gonna go fully right. Number two, like I mentioned before, midlife crisis is actually midlife transformation, reinventing oneself, rebranding oneself in midlife. Like midlife change, midlife transformation is happening as a result of us not feeling happy with the life we are living or we have lived up until the midlife crisis experience begins, and wanting something better. Number three, there's a lot of analyzing that happens and needs to happen when experiencing midlife crisis, analyzing on what has happened so far in life and what has been good, and what do we want to keep and take with us for future, and what has worked or what has not worked, what do we want to and need to leave in the past. What is it that ideally we would like to see in our life experience, and then thinking of the first steps that we could take. We don't need to know all the steps for this midlife transformation, but we do need to figure out and understand what is the first, the second step we can take in order to start this journey of transformation. Number 4, midlife transformation is also that time that puts us, if we work from within, puts us in alignment with ourselves more than anything before, more than ever before. We have lived some time, we have learned some life lessons, and we have more knowledge and understanding and experience, what works for us, what not, what is truth, what is not, what is our truth, what is a universal truth, what is not, who are our people in our lives, who are not. Also be prepared to say goodbye and part ways with some friends, and also be prepared to welcome new friends in life, not because something bad happens, but parting ways with some friends can just happen that as a result of being on different paths. When we grow, things change, and that includes relationships. So number 5, nothing is going to really change if we don't take actual action steps, don't change something, don't do something differently. Just analyzing and understanding is not enough for this midlife transformation to actually fully happen. It's important to take actual action, and that's pretty much that last step in this midlife transformation. Once we start to take action, once we have questioned everything, we have answered to ourselves, once we have better understanding of where we are at and where we're going and what's happening, and what are at least the first steps to take in order to change, to transform ourselves, our lives, and we actually start to take these steps and take real action to do things different. Once we do that's like the final stage of the transformation. So that's basically my take, my kind of a short take with a little bit of a background of midlife crisis. There's a lot more to talk, and there's a lot more coming about this on this channel. I would love to hear your thoughts, your experiences. I thank you for watching this video. Comment in the comment section below any comments you have about this. Share any experience, would love to hear. And subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more videos. Like, support if you enjoyed the video and got some value out of this video. And I will see you hopefully in the next video.